Hello everyone and welcome back to It's Personal. I am Mona and today's project is all about mixed media supplies, more specifically scrapbooking paper and acrylic paints. So grab your cup of tea or your cup of coffee, something sweet, something salty, whatever floats your boat, and join me in this journey. And so we start off with some grey board or grey board, grey chipboard. That's something I had to go and Google because I've used this specific material so much in the past, but I don't think I've ever really focused on what it's called. So I ended up having to go and Google it for you guys so I can relay the message and tell you guys what I actually used as my base for this project. After that, I went in and I pulled out my scrapbooking paper supply, and over the last couple of months I've started to collect these 12 by 12 sheets with 10 sheets in a pack, and I've been trying to get a collection going of different scrapbooking paper sets that go together, that complement one another but have different patterns and shapes. And now I pulled a paper from all those different sets basically to put onto one mixed media project, so I could make something cohesive, something that looked good together. And then I dug into my supply of smaller scrapbooking pieces I have in these little envelope folders, which is really convenient because for years I struggled to find a system that worked for me. At one stage I had my scrapbooking paper, all the tiny bits and bobs I had in files, in Ziploc bags, it's called file sleeves. I had the paper in there, but it just accumulated too much dust because I didn't have control over closing it properly. And then I found these envelopes, and they actually hold the paper really well, and I really like that because now it's easy. I can see through the clear envelopes exactly what I have on the inside, and it's just easy to store. It just makes life so much easier. I ended up taking the big sheets, taking the little parts. You guys saw all of that, the little parts I picked out of the envelopes, and then I started to cut down all the big sheets into sections that I knew I was going to use. Then those sheets went back into their little packets and I put them away again, so to use them for a next project, because this is the same paper and stuff I use for my card making. I haven't properly scrapbooked in a good couple of years. I think it's probably because in my early 20s, I had a group of friends that we were into scrapbooking, and we did a lot of taking photos and printing out photos. And we could go to a local store in our town that had a portable printing machine for photos and stuff. And you could get the photos printed for at that stage it was you could print a normal size photo for R3 or R4, and it was really cheap for us because we ended up doing settings where we put two smaller photos on a normal photo size, and we could do entire spreads with 4 or 5 photos, and it would work us out. The pricing on that would be really affordable, and we had control over when we went and when we got our photos back because it was instant. And then the shop took out the machine because it broke at one point, and then the trend kind of stopped with that. We were very sad, and then the group also disbanded at some point. So I guess that's just how life goes and stuff happens like that. So scrapbooking kind of got packed away into a corner, and then I started with the art supplies. And then over the last couple of years I've been seeing a lot of this mixed media stuff on YouTube, and I was like, I can refurbish and start to reuse a lot of these supplies. And that's how I decided to do a mixed media. Now this will be my second attempt at a mixed media project like this specific kind of mixed media project, where I do a background and then I put some paint and stuff on top of it. My first attempt, that was before YouTube days, didn't turn out really as I had expected. I think I might have used the wrong Mod Podge. Maybe too many layers of it. It kind of, I don't even know how to explain it. It just looked messy. It wasn't it looked, maybe it was just unfinished, I don't know, but I kind of did that, and then I was kind of put off by the process. And then I decided the other day, I was like, okay, fine, I'm gonna try this again. I'm gonna try and put in a little bit more effort, be a little bit more patient, and I'm gonna give this another go. And we did, and I'm glad I did, because the end result was really nice. It was what I expected. Now you will see over here, I ended up using a glue stick for this project. This was my first gamble for this project, because I wasn't sure if the glue stick was going to be enough to keep everything down, but it worked sufficiently. I'm not quite sure, I can't remember now what the branding on that glue stick is. I don't have a fancy glue stick, because Prit for me is too expensive, to be honest, and I think this is a Croxley's brand for their Prit, but this worked fine. I did stick the entire surface of each paper as thoroughly as I knew how and I could, to make sure everything was stuck down properly. But I did run into a couple of lifts after I put down the acrylic gesso layer, and that you guys will see that to the end of the section, which in hindsight, I think if I did use Mod Podge, I could have probably avoided that, because then I would have went in with the Mod Podge and a brush on each piece of paper, and I also would have done the edging of all the pieces of paper that got torn, because that's where most of the lifting did happen, and I would have been able to probably avoid that. But I was happy that it was minor. The lifting, the sections that actually did lift were minor. I could go in with a glue stick again and just like give it a little bit of a touch up, and it was fine. It wasn't a big problem. Now over here, I stuck down that little piece of very bright blue paper, and then 5 seconds later I was like, no, I can't do this, and I decided to take it off, and I cut up another little piece of brown paper, which ended up going into that little spot, or 2 different spots on this project. And I think that worked out much better. I love that blue paper, but it was too much. It was too harsh for this background. And I just thought if I left it there, it was going to take away from the entire project. And then when the background was done, all the paper was stuck down, I decided to go in with my stencil and some paint. Now this is where my second error for the day creeped in, because I think I should have waited until after I had put down the gesso layer for the paint, but I didn't do that. I went in with the stencil on top of the paper, and one or two things either happened. It was either the paint was too runny and the stencil design got kind of smudged, or it was just me being impatient and having a lot of user error and not enough practice with the stencils, because this is literally the only stencil I own. I own a couple of stamps now, but this is the only stencil I own, and I don't have a lot of experience using it. So maybe this was my error, my mistake. And yeah, I will only know with time, because I'm going to be using these paints a lot more. That specific brand is the Heritage acrylic crafting paint range. I bought an entire set of it last year, and I was trying to figure out how I was going to use them. And I spoke to someone the other day that says I can use crafting paints on polymer clay, and I was like, oh, okay, that would be interesting, because my initial playthroughs with acrylic paints on polymer clay did not go well. It felt sticky, and then the very nice, amazing lady told me I can use craft paint instead of acrylic. So I'm going to try and use this blue and green paints in the set for that specific reason more, and maybe I'll use them on these kind of projects as well. So I did try and fix my little my little stencil mess by just blobbing on some extra color before I went in with the stencils after it had dried. Now I really enjoyed this design, because I just tried to test out first how much ink I needed to put on these these stamps, because this is a new inking pad for me. I bought it the other day because the little inking pads I have are messy, and I was using acrylic inks for that, and I think the consistency of the ink is not quite right in that little stamp I had, and that in the acrylic ink didn't work well, because I got a lot of messy designs in the past. So I bought a proper inking pad for this purpose. I'm going to try to find the re-inker for it as well, so I can keep on reusing it in the future. But I think the designs overall turned out really well, and yeah, it was subtle enough not to overpower the background, but just enough to like give you that floral design, the idea of it in the background over the I'm going to use the Afrikaans word fiasco that was my stenciling attempt. And then after everything was dry, I went in with the acrylic gesso from the Dollar range. I've had that gesso now for I think 2 or 3 years now. And now we are heading into the painting section. I used a combination of Prime Art acrylic paints, and the other one is Derwent. I think it's their student range, but I'm going to tell you guys what colors I ended up picking because you probably won't be able to see it in the video. I took an ivory black, burnt sienna, burnt umber, yellow ochre, cadmium yellow, ultramarine blue, titanium white, rose madder, alizarin crimson, and a sap green. Those were the colors I pulled out from my bottle. And those were the ones that were on the side. I don't think I grabbed anything else from the bottle during the painting session here. I sketched out this tree with a pastel pencil, a white pastel pencil, because I knew I could either erase it or it would just fade into the painting as I went on. And then I started off with the tree trunk itself. And I took a really small angle brush for this because I wanted to get those really fine lines. And I've seen a lot of other YouTubers and artists out there use these angle brushes to get like branches, and because you can get a fine line as you bring it down, but you can also twist and turn it so you can get those trunk-like lines, I guess. And I wanted to really try and use that. I really want to get some more of these brushes in a bigger sizes because I actually really enjoy using them. I use them for the tree trunk. I use the specific one for the tree trunk and the grass. You will see on the little grass patch later on in the video. And it was fun. I really enjoyed painting this tree trunk overall. I've always had like a thing for tree trunks and trying to get them right, but I think as the more I paint them, the easier it becomes. Don't ask me to paint a tree top quite yet, because we didn't do a tree top for this painting either. Just be clear about that. I kind of suck at painting tree tops, but I am practicing. Slowly but surely, I am practicing it. This project was actually, the tree was actually inspired by a little doodle I made in my diary last year. Now, I think I told you guys about this in a previous video. At the beginning of the year, I didn't transfer it per se. I redrew my favorite little doodles from my diary from last year onto the little notes, and I stuck those in my planning book for this year. My planning book is basically my art planning book for YouTube stuff and for other projects I have going on. So I stuck all my favorite designs into that book. Now at the end of the year, I will try and remember to put that into my little flip through video, so you guys can see what my favorite ones were for the previous year. And yeah, and then I will see what comes out of my diary this year. Some days I just have these little inspirations of like doodling, and then things just get interesting. But yeah, this basic concept of the tree with the little leaves on it and the little flowers came from my diary from last year, and I wanted to recreate that on paper, a bigger sheet of paper, and in this case, I added some mixed media elements to it, the scrapbooking paper for the background, because I think it made it interesting. I used a lot of, you guys will see at this point, the tree trunk started off with that really dark, what was the color's name again? The burnt umber. And then I went in with a little bit more of a toned out color with the burnt sienna. and some of the yellow ochre. I think it's either I added the yellow ochre or the cadmium yellow to it to tone it down. And then I tried to do some highlights because we've got a little sun in the top left hand corner of our artwork, and I wanted to try and get in where the highlights for the sun would fall on this tree because it's at that angle. And then I started to make these yellow dots on every other branch top, and you guys will see in a minute why there's little yellow dots on the branch tops of the branches, top ends of the branches, something along that line. And then I started off doing all the little leaves. I wanted to do these tiny little leaves like coming out of areas of this tree. It's not a fully blossomed tree yet. It's kind of in this stage of like blooming basically, I think. And I think that's where, let's get a little bit sentimental, dig a little bit deeper into this artwork. Maybe this is like, for me, a resemblance of where life is for me right now. My little tree on the inside kind of died a little bit, and now it's kind of getting back to that point where it's starting to bloom. You know, the little leaves are coming back out again, and there's little flowers at the end of the tree like searching for the sunlight, you know, so they can flower and bloom and stuff. I kind of told you what the yellow dots are now. It's going to be little flowers. And I think that's what this project kind of represents for me. It's like regrowth and rebirth, and coming from a place where things look like they are not growing anymore, and then suddenly there's a little leaf here, a little leaf there, and then there's little things happening around the tree. Because right now I'm painting little bees, and with bees do the pollination thing for us in nature, and without them that doesn't happen. And I think that kind of also represents, well, the bees for me represent the people we come into contact in our lives. And if you come into contact with the right people, the right little bees, for example, then they put back into your life so you can blossom again, you can bloom. And I think that is so important for all of us to remember, that you need those little, let's call them bees, little bee friends, and bees that just, you know, give you new life, and they do not take away from you. And yeah, so this little project for me is, like I said, maybe it's like a representation of becoming something new, becoming something different, becoming something that's blossoming again, someone that's blossoming again. And yeah, I don't know what you guys see in this project, but that's what I kind of saw in this project. And yeah, it was a fun one. Definitely a fun one. But there's still a little bit to go in this video. I still have a lot of painting to do. Like I said, this took about, the amount of time I spent on the paper background is about the same amount of time, maybe a little bit more on the painting part of it, because I worked back and forth. Then I was busy with a little bit of the tree trunk, and then I went over to the leaves, and after the leaves I went back to the flowers, and I worked on the bees. Everything happened in this rotation basically, because as I was working on this little section, something else was drying. So I kept the process going, and this part of the video was a good continuous process. I don't think I stopped for a good long while when I started painting, because I think I got into the flow of just creating and just letting the paint and the paintbrush do all the work, and then I could just sit and listen to some music and just keep going with it. And I think that's another part for doing your art. And like I've said in the past is as well, do whatever fills your cup. If you get into the flow of it, you're going to relax, you're going to unwind basically, and forget about the things that stress you out every single day, the things that make you don't want to do the things you enjoy anymore. But it's important that we do the things we enjoy, because those things break us out of our daily routines and our cycles and the things that can numb us down basically. So yeah, if you take anything from this video today, remember to go and do that thing again that fills up your cup, that makes you feel good again. You know guys, you know what I'm saying? Go fill up your cups, go do the thing that makes you happy. If you're the baker in the family and you love baking, and you've been feeling that urge to go and bake a cake for a while now, do it. Just go and do it. don't sit around, just do it. that song, Stray Kids has a new song out now, and the chorus of the thing is just do it. And that's what I'm thinking of as I'm telling you guys. I'm thinking about that, just that little part where they said, just do it, just go and do it, because they're adamant, just do it. So go and do your thing. But I think these little bees actually came out so cute. I was just struggling so much. I don't know why. I think it's maybe the size of it, and the one on the left-hand side was fine, but that poor little bee on the right-hand side had the most crooked of bodies. I think I did that poor thing a what is the word I want to use? Injustice. That's the word I'm trying to find. And that poor little bee got a little bit of the injustice of the painting session because it looks a little bit crooked, but I try to fix it to the end of the video and it looks better, I hope. These flowers on the top of the tree were a little bit of a struggle, to be honest. I went in with this whole idea of going in a little bit loosey-goosey with the pink tone. And then I was like, okay, fine, now I need to start defining these little flowers. And I was like, how am I going to define them? Because I wasn't aiming for proper light reflection on them. I wasn't trying to be correct in how they looked per se, but I wanted to get across it was flowers. So I went in back and forth. A lot of loosey-goosey kind of painting going on at this stage. And I'm not sure if I love it per se, but I was content with the outcome because I was not trying to be rigid in my approach to this project. I was trying to have fun. I was trying to loosen up and not get stuck on the details. And that's why I just kept on painting. I just kept on going. I just kept on adding a little bit more here, lightening it up a little bit more until I reached a point where I was like, okay, fine, I can now see and say comfortably those are flowers on the edges of my tree trunks. And that's where I left it. Probably could have done a little bit more defining, but that was not the point of this project, to get into nitty-gritty details. It was just to have fun, just to do mixed media art, and just enjoy the outcome, enjoy the process of it. So, and that's kind of another things I'm trying to do this year is just let go a little bit more and not get so super focused and on the details that I end up spending so much time on the details that I lose, what is the word I'm looking for? Like perspective on the bigger picture of the creative process. So yeah, those little flowers are what they are. And I'm not unhappy about it at all. They weren't the perfect little flowers. They weren't perfectly defined. The little petals aren't perfectly like lined up and in the right colors and overlapping and all those funky things. But I can see they are flowers. And I think if you guys look, you will probably see they are flowers too. It's a little bit weird having flowers at the edge of a tree, but let's just call this artistic freedom and interpretation for this video sake today. So if I need to wrap up this video, I would say this project at one stage felt a lot of ugly, but it was not ugly, it was just not finished. And I think because I persevered and I pushed through and I got past the stencil problems and past the paper lifting and past the flowers not flowering the way they were supposed to and a little bee not being the way it's supposed to. You heard what I did there, right? If I got past all those things and I just kept on pushing through to the end, the project was just not finished. And because I got past that ugly phase of it, it got to the finished part of it, and the finishing part of it was actually the part I really enjoyed. It was a completed whole mixed media project with a lot of little details and a lot of art supply. It wasn't a lot of art supplies used, it was just using the art supplies in a different way to make something unique. And I feel that was what this project was for me. It was a unique project and I enjoyed it so very much. A few of the art supplies I used in this video that I did not mention is I used, but to the end now, I'm going to use like an acrylic. It's almost like an acrylic paint marker. It is not the most ideal one. I wish I have. I need to go and find another acrylic paint marker. This was a Faber-Castell Pitt pen, I think, if I remember correctly. And it is not great, but it got the job done for the little highlights I wanted to put in on certain places. I also used an acrylic gold paint in the background on top of the paper with that blue and greenish paint, which I also reapplied afterwards. And that was another paint, I think, if I applied that with the blue and green stencils, the stencil section after the gesso, it would have stayed more visible on top of the gesso. But I think because it went underneath the gesso layer, it kind of faded, so I had to go and put it back over this project, over the top of it. I needed to put in the highlights again. And this is the reveal section. I went in and I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a close-up on the details. I don't know how you guys are gonna like this part of the video. I'm trying some new things this year, trying to like shake it up a little bit. But yeah, you guys can see it a little bit closer on the details. The little flowers on top, the stenciling in the background, the little tears on the paper just come through. You can see that very clearly there. And yeah, that was the complete project for this video. I thank you guys so very much for watching. If you guys did enjoy this video, please do the YouTube things, like and subscribe. We have hit like 90 subscribers on this channel and we're so close to 100. I cannot wait, which means 90 people actually liked some of the videos I made on this channel. That's kind of crazy in my head. 90 people I don't know, but 90 people I would actually like to get to know. So if you guys can drop some love in the comments below. And what was your favorite part of this video? What was the favorite part? What have you watched some of my other videos? What favorite parts did you have from those ones? But yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Hope you have a fantastic day wherever you are. Thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day, everyone. Goodbye.